Journey to the Center of the Earth. A science fiction story. Science fiction stories are often about strange imaginary places and creatures. This famous story is written like a diary. Each chapter is about what happens on a different day. Characters. Characters meanings the people in the story. Professor Van Hardwig. He is an archaeologist. An archaeologist is someone who studies things from the past like old buildings and objects. Harry is the professor's nephew. He wrote about their adventures in his diary. Hans is a guide. Setting. Setting is the place at which something happens. This part of the story is set on an ocean at the center of the Earth. Plot. Plot is the series of events that form the story of a novel, play, film, etc. Professor Van Hardwig discovered a map, which showed how to get to the center of the Earth. The professor, Harry and Hans discovered an ocean at the center of the Earth. They made a raft to cross the ocean. They discovered some rather frightening creatures. Read all about our adventures in my diary. Vocabulary. Nouns. Archaeologist is someone who studies things from the past, for example old buildings and objects. Crater is the round hole at the top of a volcano. Surface is the top layer of something. Weapons are something used to fight with. Armor are metal clothes worn by soldiers to protect the body. Scales are small hard flat pieces of skin on the body of fish or a reptile. Razor is something used to shave with.
Verb is a word or group of words that expresses an action, an event or a state. Relax is to rest and become calm. Inhabit is to live in a particular place. Doze is to sleep for a short time. Plunged is to dive quickly underwater. Adjective is a word that describes a person or thing. Eerie means strange and mysterious. Fearful means frightened. Hideous means very ugly or frightening. Ghastly means very bad or unpleasant. Coiling means in the shape of circles.
Adverb is a word that adds more information about place, time, manner, cause or degree to a verb, an adjective, a phrase or another adverb. Uneventful means without a lot of exciting or unusual things happening. Journey to the center of the Earth. Professor Van Hardwig, an archaeologist, discovered a map which showed how to get to the center of the Earth. The journey began in a crater in a volcano in Finland. The professor went with his nephew Harry and a Finnish guide called Hans. Harry kept a diary of all the exciting adventures they had. They went down and down deeper and deeper through many tunnels and caves. Eventually, they reached a deep sea far below the surface at the center of the Earth. They made a raft and set off across the sea.
What was the professor's job? He was an archaeologist. What did he discover? He discovered a map. What did it show? It showed how to get to the center of the Earth.
Sunday, August 18th. A strange, eerie light surrounded us. We continued to cross the sea on our raft. My uncle tried to see how deep the water was. He tied a metal bar to some rope and lowered it into the water. It sank down and down until we had no more rope. When we dragged the metal bar up again, there were some strange marks on it. Then I realized what they were. They're huge teeth marks, I cried. What fearful creatures are hiding at the bottom of this sea at the center of the Earth? If they come up to the surface, what would they do to us? I tried to relax for the rest of the day.
What were they using to cross the sea? They were using a raft. What marks were on the metal bar? They were teeth marks.
Monday, August 19th. When I woke up this morning, my mind was still full of questions and fears. Dinosaurs used to inhabit the Earth millions of years ago. Is it possible that such hideous monsters still exist down here? I tried to imagine meeting a giant crocodile, or lizard over 10 times as big as normal and enormously strong. It's not possible, is it? I ask myself. Then I remembered the teeth marks on the metal bar. I stared out across the deep sea with wild and terrified eyes. On the surface of the water, I saw some bubbles. Something was moving below us. We checked our weapons to make sure we were ready for anything. It never got dark down here. There was no day or night. The strange, eerie light shone all the time. When we were tired, we took it in turns to sleep.
What creatures did Harry imagine meeting? Harry imagined meeting a giant crocodile or lizard. What did he see on the surface? On the surface he saw bubbles.
Tuesday, August 20th. The day passed uneventfully. In the evening, just as I began to doze, the raft seemed to hit something below the water. We were thrown off our seats. "What's happening?" my uncle cried. Hands pointed to a big, dark-shaped 200 meters away. "It's some sort of monster," I screamed. "Look," my uncle shouted, "over there a huge sea lizard and, beyond that, a giant crocodile. Such hideous jaws, such terrible teeth." We looked around. We were in the middle of a great circle of giant creatures. How tiny we felt. To our right was a turtle about 15 meters wide with an enormous, hard armor-like shell. To our left was a serpent with green scales all over it. Its ghastly head peered up out of the water straight at us. Wherever we looked, there were more strange creatures. Huge jaws full of razor-sharp teeth, frightful eyes, great, coiling bodies. The noise was terrible. There seemed to be no hope, but then suddenly they all plunged under the water again. Everything went deathly quiet. We were terrified, and yet excited. Everyone on Earth thought creatures like these were extinct, but they weren't.
Why were they thrown off their seats? They were thrown off their seats because the raft hit something. What creatures did they see around them? They saw a huge sea lizard, a giant crocodile, a turtle and a serpent. What color was the serpent? It was green. Why were the travelers excited? They were excited because everyone on Earth thought creatures like these were extinct.